Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Blind Squirrel Talk. I'm Kim.
I'm Lulu.
And this is Tyonna Harry. She is the Director of Outreach for the Jackson County Habitat for Humanity, who does such wonderful things, and we're privileged to have her, and I'm so excited. Yay!
I am too, because first of all, we love Jackson County Habitat.
Especially on Wednesday, Senior Day, discount.
Yep. If you need either one of us on Senior Day, just look in your store, because that's where we pretty much live. But thanks for all the great stuff that you do in that outreach.
Tell us all about it, because I'm curious. I know you do more than I know you do.
Yes. So I am the Director of Outreach. I often like to say that title doesn't encompass everything that I do. I work with the families that we select for all of our programs. So we have a critical home repair program, and our most popular, our homeownership program. And then we also have other things that we do, like Brush with Kindness. Some of our events that we do are Playhouse Build, Annie Up, all of those things. I have the pleasure of doing all the marketing efforts for it. So Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, making those posts and doing those things. I actually have some help now. I have a outreach intern, Peyton Stack. He's been great. He's been with us since March. And so he's also helping me do some of the social media. Outside of the marketing and social media, I also work closely with the families. So from point A, when they hear about our program and they call and they have questions, they talk to me. If they need help filling out their application, they also go back to me. My construction manager and I work very closely when it comes to the home building process. I'm just the point of contact for any of the partner families that we have through our funnel. So.
Well, how does it work? I'm just curious. If somebody is in need, needs a home, how do you go about it? How do you find the land? How do you pick them? How do they apply?
Yeah, so we had some donated land, and we've had land that we purchased years ago. So it just depends. We are on our last piece of land, and we will be building on it soon. So we are looking for land. So if people want to donate, we will gladly accept. But
awesome.
We also will purchase land as well. So we're always looking for acquisition. But for the actual program, what it looks like, we have mandatory information sessions. And so that's where they come, and I tell them all they need to know, all of the qualifications. So the three main criteria we look for is the ability to pay. The houses are not free. They do have a zero interest mortgage, which is
Huge.
Yes,
Huge.
saves thousands of dollars, but it is not a free home. They will pay for it. So we look for the ability to pay, willingness to partner. Anyone that gets a home with us, they have to do 300 hours of sweat equity, which is really just community service. They have to help build their home. They can help with other nonprofits and organizations in the community, but we just want them to help give back. And then we also look for the need. And need could be if you're spending more than 30% of your income on housing. It could be that you're in a relative's house. It can be that you're too big for the spot that you're in, and it's a family of 6 and you're in a 1-bedroom. There's a lot of ways to describe need, but those are the three main things we look for. And then, of course, we want them to live or work in Jackson County. We want to make sure that we're serving people in our community. So living or working in Jackson County for at least a year before applying to the program. So those are the basics of what we look for when it comes to qualifying for the homeownership program. And then I kind of dive into the weeds of things when they come to homeowner information sessions. And so I'll tell them AMI, that is area median income, and that's what we look at to say if you qualify for the house or not. So we do work with low income families, but that is changing. So April 1st of this year, the area median income in Jackson County is now $103,700.
What?
So they're saying the average person in Jackson County makes that much. And
say that again.
$103,700
What
is
are
they're
they
saying.
doing for work?
I ask that question all the time. I'm like, so where exactly
Wait a minute.
and who?
Yeah.
Yes. And so, I
Oh
mean,
my
you
gosh.
know, right. And so when we look at that, and just to give you some context of that, when I started with Habitat, I think the AMI that year was 85,000 in 2023.
Even that's shocking.
Yes.
For us to be all the way up to 103 2 years later. So we serve families at the 30 to 60% area median income of that. So if you fall below that, so that means if you're a family of 4 and you only bring in $20,000, unfortunately, you wouldn't meet the ability to pay.
Wow.
But if you're a family of 4 and you're making $40,000, you would meet the ability to pay. So that's just something people don't realize. I think they hear Habitat and they think just low income, but low income now looks different with, you know, the climate change and
Well,
things.
I'm
just
on
looking
poverty
different.
level. I just
Started
have
to say, we're going to get a house.
I mean, I joke. I'm like, there's so many people that could benefit from Habitat, though. You know, they don't. I mean, teachers, firefighters. I say all the time, I'm like, us that work at Habitat could probably get Habitat houses. You know, it's a lot of people that qualify in that range that just don't, you know, wouldn't think of that.
I honestly thought that it was for low or no income.
Me
Yeah.
too.
And I've
Me
always
too. I
thought
think most
that.
people
A lot
do.
of people do. Yep, there's people that are like, oh, you know, I met this family. It's a family of 12, and they have $20,000. Can you help them? Well, unfortunately, if they have to pay for the mortgage, and what we do with the mortgages is try to make it affordable for them. So we make sure that we do not charge them more than 30% of their income. However, we sell the house at least what we built it for. So housing costs, I think our last house, our construction manager did a phenomenal job, and he cut the cost, I mean, by $50,000.
Oh,
So I think we
wow.
came in at $107,000 for the build. But typically, if it's $150,000, we at least have to charge that for the mortgage. And so if the family doesn't bring in enough, we can't, you know, we can't make that happen. So yeah, it's a big misconception that people just think no or extremely low income, come get a house. And it's not come get a house, it's come be home buyer ready and be ready to partner with us, because 300 hours of sweat equity, I mean, it's 25 hours a month. And so you have to be willing almost every weekend to be out there building. They can help at the restore, which is always fun. But I mean, it's a big dedication that they have to wanting to be a homeowner.
When they go through this process, do they have to have money down?
So our down payment is $500, and that has to be paid before we start breaking ground on the home. And so they can pay that. They can give us $50, you know, every other week if they would like, but it just has to be to us before we break ground. And then that money just goes, and it goes to the escrow, so that when it's time to close, we make sure that they have some funds, because taxes are changing, and you know,
Yes.
so when they get that
Jackson
tax
County
bill at the end of
taxes
the
are
month,
going up.
absolutely. So we don't want them to be surprised with a huge tax bill, so we put that money towards that. And then they do have a closing cost as well, and our closing costs, they're no more than 2% of the purchase price of the home.
Oh, that's good.
So we usually say $3,000 or less is what their closing cost is.
Wow.
How many homes do you do a year? Is it just one a year, or?
So we just finished a home this April, and we dedicated it April 11th, and we will start building on our next home hopefully at the beginning of fall. 1.5 homes a year. We usually start one, finish one. But we had, I would say 2023 and 2024, it was unlike our typical, and we had 4 homes being built at once.
Oh.
So that was fun. So currently our affiliate started building in 1998, and we have 23 homes completely built, and we'll be starting on our 24th.
23 in Jackson County.
Yep.
What a blessing.
Yes.
Now, do y'all follow up with the home owners?
Yes. We actually had a few homeowners help on this last home, and then they kind of have their own little connection with the new homeowners, because it's something different. You know, It's not the traditional home ownership that other people experience. Most people, you know, they shop on the market and they have their real estate agent doing all the things. It's not that experience. And so they have their own little Habitat family within, within our organization of those who have come before them, and they come and volunteer on their houses. I keep in contact with them. It's really, we call it our partner families. And once they're done being a partner, which is just the time that they start with us, and once they finish and close, then we just call them our Habitat family. So
That's amazing.
I have chills on my arms.
And it's amazing you can build a house for $150,000 or less.
I mean,
Who's your project manager?
Guy Baker.
I knew it.
I was going to say,
I knew it.
If you've been around, you would know Guy Baker. Guy Baker
Yes.
is phenomenal.
He is.
I mean, that's his thing. He wants to come in below cost, always. And so he'll bring me and help pick out light fixtures and things for the house. And I'm like, well, I like this one. And he'll look at the price and I'm like, well, what about this one? I'm like, okay, I'll go with the one that's a few dollars less. But I mean, we really appreciate that, because that's something that we keep saying, like, houses are so much more expensive than they were in
Yes.
1998 to build. I mean, our our building cost more than what we were selling the homes for
Right.
the first 10 or 15 years of our affiliate. So it's just such a big shift. But I mean, God came in much lower than we expected, and that's a blessing because it helps the family, it helps us, and so.
Guy
yeah,
Baker
God's
is a
great.
blessing to everybody he passes. He is.
He's
I've
amazing.
never met him.
Yes, you have. You've seen him in the store. Oh, because yeah.
We need to talk to him too.
He's amazing.
Yes.
Wow.
He was helping people along before he went to Habitat.
Mm-hmm.
He's just that guy. He's that guy. No pun intended. He's that guy.
He likes to say he's been building all his life. He helped build a family home when he was, I think their home burnt down, and he helped rebuild it with his brothers, and I think he was 7 or 8. And so he always says that when people ask, oh, what do you do? He's like, I build, and I've been building all my life. And so, yeah, but God's great.
He builds houses. He builds relationships. He builds people. He builds them up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's I should have
That's his
known
new
that.
tagline.
Yeah.
Right, I know.
He built-
We always joke that people enjoy volunteering with us, but they really just enjoy Guy more. And we're like, if Guy's there, that's why they want to come back. People
Yeah.
love interacting with Guy when they're
Yeah.
on the job sites.
Wow.
So with the houses, do they I know lumber's so expensive. We're always flipping in houses and doing stuff, and
Yes.
lumber is out of this world. Do some of the lumber companies partner with y'all? Do you
Yes.
get donations? How does that work?
do. Harbin Lumber has been a godsend. They
Yes.
have been partnering with us for years. They've been a community partner, and they just enjoy, seeing the families love their houses. They come and they volunteer after they donate, and I mean, it's just amazing. We wouldn't be able to do most of the ramps we do without them. So our ramp program is a part of our critical home repairs, but critical home repairs are a little different because we may charge depending on how much the project is and how much we have in our budget for it. But ramps, we don't charge for ramps at all because, it's an accessibility thing. If you don't have the ability to get in and out of your home, that's a problem, and we don't want to charge you for that. And we're able to do that because they help us so greatly with the lumber. Even with our Playhouse build, we built houses. It's been a while since we did it. Last year was the first year we brought it back in a while. And they helped us with the lumber for those. And we had an application cycle very similar to what we do with the actual home ownership program. And we had it for kids in Jackson County, first grade and below. And so they had to say what their dream playhouse looks like and what they want to be when they grow up. And they had to do 3 acts of kindness and, sit by a new friend at lunch, write a letter to a teacher. And it was the same process of just we want people to give back to the community and give hope. And so we had the kids do that, and then 7 kids were picked and got playhouses, and we're hoping to double that number this year because it got a lot of eyes on it. And so I'm thinking a lot of kids are going to be excited for it this year, but Harbin helped us do that as well. They're a really great partner.
Yay, Harbin.
Yeah,
They're great.
we're going there more often now that we know the story.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so you have the home builds, you have the playhouse builds. What other outreaches do y'all have in the community?
Yeah. So this year we're trying a new event. We're going to do a bike ride. One of our board members is an avid bike rider.
Motorcycle or bicycle?
Bicycle.
Okay.
And she, I think we have 3 different routes. It's like a 23-mile, I think 36-mile, and 67-mile trail. Yeah, bike riders. I was like, oh, okay. I'm thinking maybe
serious.
5 miles or 10. Then I was like, oh, this is like really bike riding. But we're trying this event. It will be September 20th. It'll be our first year doing it. It's Jackson County Tour Day Habitat.
Ooh.
Is the title of the event. And it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have bike riders from all over. She does so many different bike rides, and so she meets riders from different states, all over the state. And so we're hoping to have all of them a part of it. And we have safety and gear stops, and so we'll have spots where volunteers can come, and when the riders need a break, and they can go get a snack and interact with our volunteers that are at those stations. So it'll be a lot of fun. This is our first year trying it, and we hope that it goes well. Outside of that event, we have our annual event. It's been going on at this point. I think next year will be our 6th annual Ante Up for Habitat, which is a fundraiser, and all the funds that we raise that night go towards the next house that we're building that year. And it is like a Vegas-themed casino night.
Fun.
And so we have gaming tables.
Where will that
and
be?
It's so we usually switch it around from the civic centers. The last 2 years we're at Jefferson Civic Center. Now Commerce is open, and so we might try there. But it'll either be at Brazelton, Jefferson, or Commerce Civic Center, and it's usually at the beginning of the year. So this year it was February 7th, so somewhere around the beginning of the year. But it's a fun event. We have auction items, silent and live. There's hors d'oeuvres, and it's really just a fun night. People get on the dance floor and dance. A lot of people are like, oh, I don't know how to gamble, or I don't really gamble, and that's just for people that enjoy that thing. That's, we're trying to bring Vegas to Jackson County, but outside of that, it's really just a fun night to, bet on the future of Habitat, and it's all back to the houses and, making a difference.
And the people.
So, yeah.
Wow. So many things.
Amazing.
So Habitat is more than just great sales and furniture.
Well, what's funny is so many people don't know that we have a Restore. There's times that I meet people and I say the Restore, and they're like, what? I'm like, you don't know about the Restore? And so it's funny that what people know about Habitat. Some people just know the houses. Some people just know the Restore. Some people don't think that our one affiliate does all of those things. So there's, about 1,000 affiliates in the U.S., and so that's confusing to people too, because Habitat for Humanity was started back in 1967 in Georgia, Americus, Georgia, by Linda and Millard Fuller. And most people think it was President Carter, which he is the reason that we got as popular as we did and took it overseas. He did great things for our organization, but it was actually founded in Georgia. And people hear the name and just think it's one, but we have thousands of affiliates all over the world. And so Jackson County Habitat just works in Jackson County. And, we'll have a neighboring Habitat that might be a little bit different. They might not do critical home repairs. They might only build homes. So all of them are different just depending on the capacity and the size and what the area needs.
Yeah. Wow. So how did you land at Habitat?
So actually, I don't know if I mentioned this on here, but before I became the Director of Outreach, my title was Family Services and Marketing Manager. And I was previously working with marketing, strictly social media marketing and all the things. And I've always been very involved in nonprofit. As a very young age, my mother worked in nonprofit for majority of my life. And so I've always had a heart to give and volunteer. I joined a organization in college that also gives back and does service, and so it's something that I enjoy doing. And so I relocated after grad school, and I saw the job and just knew it fit me perfectly. I have a degree in sociology, and I felt like it was a perfect combination of my passion and my education, and I was like, yep, this sounds like it's exactly for me.
Do you live in Jackson County?
I do. I live in Commerce. I'm 6 minutes away from the store, which I love. So.
Yeah. Do you walk to work?
I do not. I do not. And I thought about it a couple times. I'm like, no, I probably wouldn't make it on time if I had to walk. But it's a 6-minute drive, so if I walked, it might be more like 30. But
wow, that is just amazing.
It is.
I had no idea that all that was at Habitat. No idea.
No.
yeah.
No, and now the community can know. All of y'all can know too. Yay.
And the whole Restore Habitat for Humanity connection, a lot of people don't know that you're intertwined or the same or what have you. I know that.
Yeah. And
We love the store though. My gosh.
we're going to try to make sure we get the mission bigger in the store so that people can understand. A lot of times we try to tell them, like, all these purchases also help us build homes. They help us build ramps. They help, and then that's when we realize people don't know what we do. They don't put the two together. They're like, oh, well, I thought this was just a thrift store, and I'm like, no. All of these things help us do what our mission is, which is to put God's love into action by bringing people together to build homes, community, and hope. So that's what we're doing with our Restore, with our events, everything we do. It goes back to that. So.
Amazing.
They should do an event at the park. Not to interrupt.
Yeah, they should.
With entertainment, raise some money.
Yeah, maybe during your bike thing, make us a stop. After all, we have the park. A lot of thanks to y'all.
Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've seen it, but it looks so much better.
It does.
I need to
You need to
stop
see
by.
it. Yeah. We'll have to take her a picture in front of it.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. So, people watching this show, a lot of them are probably thinking, I had no idea there may be a chance for me to be a homeowner. Who do they need to contact?
Yeah.
When is that window open?
So this is actually perfect timing because our information sessions will be held this month. And so our first one will be June 16th. Our next is June 20th, June 25th, and June 30th. And they only have to go to one, but that's where I will tell them all the ins and outs, pretty much letting them know if you qualify, if you do not, what you need to do, if this might not be the right thing for you right now. It gives them all of that information. So coming to an information session is the most important first step so that you truly understand what the program is and if it's right for you. So 2 of them will be virtual so that we can try to get everyone who might not be able to make it to a library. And then we will have one in Commerce at their library. That will be June 25th. That one will be at noon, and that will be at the library. And then we'll have one in Jefferson's library as well, and that will be June 30th. That's the first thing. Once they get that information, they'll get the information on how to apply. Our application has went virtual, so they'll get the information on how to get to the application. And in order to turn in an application that is fully prepared and ready, they have to do 10 hours of sweat equity with turning it in so that we know they're truly prepared to partner with us, because that's such a big part of what we do. So the information is coming soon. This month is the month for all the fun things homeownership, and hopefully it'll be opening at the end of summer.
How exciting.
Yes.
And okay, in the selection process, how does that work? That's got to be difficult and exciting.
Yes. So there is a family selection committee. Thank goodness I don't have to do it by myself. The staff, we don't get to handpick who we like. So what it looks like is I go through all of the applications. I look through them and I just start with the basic information and see if they qualify, based on income, all of those things. Then after we get past that point, we have credit checks, background checks. Once they make it past that point, then I start writing up short little blurbs about each family so that the selection committee can get a picture of who they are. So with the application, I get things like pictures of the home. If they say, we have mold in the ceiling, they'll show that in a picture so that I can say that. And so I write a blurb and I'll say, it's a family of 4 living in Jefferson, molded ceilings, father brings in this much, mother brings in this much, kids this age. I give all those informations, but I don't say things like their name.
Yeah.
I don't say their race or ethnicity. I don't do any of that. They just know, they get a broad picture of who the family is. And so they read through and then they ask me questions. They might say, well, hey, based on what they brought in and how much they make, did they not work a couple months? So then they'll ask me questions for me to go back and ask the family and say, hey, we have a question about this. And so they get all their questions out of the way. And typically, unfortunately, people usually end up getting themselves eliminated for not turning in their paperwork.
Oh.
It's so heartbreaking. And then something happened and life happens, and then it'll be a week after it's due, and then, they missed the deadline. So it's very important if someone is interested in the program to be by their phone, be by their email, be ready, be by the mailbox. We send things in mail and we'll say, hey, we need this in 7 days. We need documentation for this. So once we do all of that, the selection committee, once we get down to the final few, then they kind of do a vote and we look at this criteria. What percentage of AMI are they at? Are they at 33%? Are they at the 50%? What income do they have the ability to pay? And then what is their need? And there's like a scale that kind of says, okay, this need is from 0 to 3. And so they do all those things, and really based on who scores the highest is the person that gets selected. And we usually have a first and a second runner-up just in case anything happens. Big financial changes. They are getting a mortgage. So, if they get selected and then they go purchase a car, and then, that could cause them to be deselected. So we like to have 1 or 2 people that we know are prepared just in case anything happens. But I like to tell people, be prepared just like you would be for any other big loan. If you were going to look for a loan for a house outside of Habitat, those same things apply. So
So is it like Publishers Clearing sweepstakes, they show up at the door and say, "Congratulations, you get a new home." And who gets to tell them? Who gets to bring the joyful news?
I get to tell them, which is always exciting.
That's why you look so happy.
Yes, I get to tell the family, which unfortunately I also get to tell them no too. So I'm glad I get to share the joy of the yes and the celebration. But last time our family was actually out of town when it was time to tell them. And so I had to tell them, which they were still excited. It was a family vacation. And so they were at the beach and it was a perfect little celebratory thing. They just made it there. But typically we like to bring them in with the family selection committee because the committee is some of our board members, some community members. And we like to bring them in and we have a partnership agreement and those things just say, you're willing to partner with us, you'll do these things, you'll let us know all this information. And so they sign the partnership information and we have future homeowner hats and future homeowner t-shirts and it's this big
Sweet.
celebration. Yes.
That is wonderful.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
So for the community in general, like people that have heard this story and they want to donate, whether it's household items, time, money, themselves, where they just call the store?
Yes, so household items, any of those things, they can just drop them off at the Restore. If they specifically want to donate to the family because they know the family or they saw the family, like, I want this to go to the family, they can just come to the Restore and let us know that, and we will give it to the family. But we take all types of donations. We take donations of their time. We're always looking for volunteers. I mentioned before that people love working with Guy, and so right now it's our critical home repair season, and so we're not actively building a house right now. We're doing the critical home repair. So we're doing the ramps, we're doing the roofs, the flooring, all of those things are happening right now, and all the projects that we can use volunteers on, we do. So a lot of those ramps are volunteer built, and so we're always looking for volunteers. We have a volunteer calendar that is attached to our website. It's also on all of our social media. We have a link tree, so you can see our latest blogs, you can see our volunteer calendar, anything of that nature. You can find it on any social media platform, on our website, or just at the Restore.
That's wonderful. Wonderful.
I need to pay attention next time I'm in there. I'm
I
just
know.
looking for good deals.
Right.
And we find lots of them.
Yeah,
Lots of
I love
great
the
deals.
Restore. I love it.
Yeah.
We have a really good Restore.
Well, we really appreciate you being here today, and we know there's a lot of people that are going to benefit from this particular episode.
Thank you.
And we're going to have you back again. And
Yeah, we want to hear about who wins and all that.
Yeah.
I would love to
You
come
need to
back
do
and
a
give you guys
quarterly
an update.
yeah, we need to
love
interview
that.
the home winner.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That would be
That'd
neat,
great.
too.
That would be great. You guys will love the homeowners.
Okay, so we're going to hold you to that.
Yes.
All right. Well, we really appreciate y'all tuning in to yet another episode of Blind Squirrel Talk. And we hope that you'll tune into another one. So once again, I'm Lulu.
I'm Kim.
And I'm Tyonna.
And we thank you. We'll see you next time. Yeah.
Bye.
Bye y'all.